This video is sponsored by SkinVault GG. More on them later. Counter-Strike's CT rifles, the M4A4 and the M4A1-S. Which is better, you might ask? Well, it certainly is an interesting question that has had a different answer depending on who you ask and which point in history you ask it. It's been a constant battle between the rifles, fighting for the right to be held in our hands and be the one to dink T's in the head for 92 and 1. And whether you flip-flop between the rifles like a girlfriend choosing what to eat for dinner, or a die-hard loyalist to one of the CT rifles, one thing we can all agree on is if there's an AK on the ground, the M4 is getting yeeted into another universe. How has usage changed over the years? At which point in CSGO's history was one M4 better than the other? And how did updates affect gameplay? And, while not directly related to gameplay, how did these updates affect the skin market, with the prices of the two M4 variants being at the whim of nerf and buff cycles? Let's start at the beginning, 2012, when CSGO first launched, and explore the history of the M4A4 and the M4A1-S. Back in 2012, when CSGO first launched, the M4A4 was of course the main gun on CT, as the M4A1-S had not yet been added. It had no competition other than the AWP or dropped AKs, with 24.3% of all kills made in 2012 made by the M4A4, comfortably in second place behind the AK. The battle between the M4s officially began in 2013, in CSGO's second year, when the M4A1-S, the spiritual successor to the Maverick M4A1 from 1.6 and Source, was added back to the series as part of the Arms deal update. This update also brought skins, another key piece of the M4 story, with the market being at the whim of what gun was in vogue at any one time. The M4A1-S on release instantly began to make its way into loadouts, causing the M4A4 to collect dust. Being out less than half the year in 2013, the silenced M4 was able to take 6% of all kills over the year. This was due to the price difference, and with the silenced M4 having better stats in almost every single way. With the silenced M4 being $2,900 compared to the M4's $3,100, this meant when buying the silenced M4, you're able to flash your teammates one whole extra time, which means a lot when half buying. And the A1-S also had a better spray pattern, better accuracy and no traces, with the only real downside being 20 bullets compared to the A4's 30. But that's just admitting you're a shitter who can't get it done with less. It's not the size of the magazine that matters, it's what you do with it. By 2014, on the pro circuit, most had made the switch to the silenced M4, with only a few diehards staying true to the objectively worse weapon. Players like Freiberg, Pasha, and Shroud were holdouts. 18.77% of kills in 2014 were made by the silenced M4, compared to only 8.85% with the standard M4. Valve wasn't comfortable with the usage of the two guns not being equal, with the A1-S being the clear favourite across pro and casual play. So, on the 10th of December 2014, the first update came to the A1-S. Valve increased the cost of the silenced M4 to match the A4 in price, now both sitting pretty at $3,100. You would think that this would have balanced the playing field slightly and brought usage more to 50-50 depending on what kind of player you are, given price was no longer an aspect. But no, most people still frothed the silenced M4 big time, with usage from the 1st of January until the 14th of September sitting at 23.75% of kills made with the A1-S, and the A4 sitting at 2.58%, below the FAMAS, which was at 3.69% of kills. This is even with a price increase of the silenced M4 from $3,100 to $3,200 on the 31st of March. I mean, at this point, clearly the M4A4 is fantastic. All it needs to work on is accuracy, spray control, traces, sound cues, running accuracy, jumping accuracy, doing damage, being picked, early game, mid game, late game, and getting kills. Things were not looking good in the eyes of Valve in terms of balance, and you will soon see why the date range I used before only went until the 14th of September. On the 15th of September 2015, the suppressed M4 got neutered, or at least brought back down to earth to be level with the M4A4 again. They brought the cost back down to 3100, but had its fire rate decreased and spread increased. The fire rate was reduced from 667 RPM to only 600, and the spread was 0.45, but was increased to 0.5. But the big thing here is the fire rate reduction. This change created far more segregation in the situation the M4s were used in. Prior to this update on the 15th of September, the suppressed M4 was objectively better for most situations, especially at higher levels when the extra 10 bullets in the mag didn't make too much of an impact. The M4A4 would now finally have an area where it surpassed the suppressed M4, close range. While this was happening in 2015, Counter-Strike was blowing up in a big way, with more players than ever. In some ways, thanks to the skin market, with case openings blowing up on YouTube and people not even part of the Counter-Strike community taking part. The game was experiencing an economy for the first time. And with the suppressed M4 being used less in-game, the reduced demand and the fear surrounding holding the bag, this update was the cause of one of the first flash crashes in the Counter-Strike economy. To see the impact of this crash, let's look at the M4A1-S Darkwater, Brightwater, and Guardian, all pretty popular play skins in 2015. I chose minimal wear, non-stat track for all of these skins, as that is one of the most affordable, yet still nice looking variant of most guns. The Darkwater was sitting at $6.01 on the 15th of September, and by the 16th it was $4.63, a reduction of 23%. The Brightwater was sitting at $5.17 on the 15th and dropped to $4.03, a reduction of 22%, and the Guardian was sitting at $10.33 and dropped to $7.69 by the next day, a reduction of 26%. These are insane single day drops, and as a point of comparison, the biggest single day stock market drop is 22.6% during Black Monday. And while the market cap of the Counter-Strike economy is far smaller, so more prone to volatility like this, drops like this across most M4A1-S skins was a pretty crazy event back then. You know what else is crazy? This segue to our sponsor, skinvault.gg. Skinvault enables you to sell and trade your skins hassle-free, and enables you to trade your old, stinky, gross skins for yummy new sexy skins that make you smile. All of this with low fees, and when you sign up with the link below, you get to enjoy a $10 trade bonus on your first trade. And for those who supported me watching this ad, the fastest 25 people will get a completely free $5 added to your balance after registering to Skinvault via my link. Enjoy, gentlemen. Okay, moving on from skins now. This update quickly brought the M4s back in line with each other again. After starting 2015 with the M4A4 effectively being unused, the M4A4 in the last months of 2015 rose from 2.58% of kills to 13.35% of kills, dethroning the silenced M4 as the king of CT side. After the huge nerf for the silenced M4, we then had a few years of very little change, with the suppressed M4 slowly falling more and more out of use. In 2016, the M4A4 had 12.04% of kills and the silenced M4 had 9.59% of kills. Pretty even. In fact, this was the most even the CT rifles had been for the entire life of CSGO so far. In 2016, there was one update that affected the M4s, but it affected them both equally. Valve altered how shooting accuracy works for both rifles, buffing tapping and bursting, and slightly reducing the effectiveness of spraying. But with both being affected in the same way, this had no impact on pick rates or skin prices. Moving to 2017, again, neither CT rifle received any updates. However, the disparity between the two continued to grow as pros began to get more and more used to the unsilenced M4. The M4A4 wrapped up the year with 15.23% of kills, and the silenced M4 had 5.96%. In 2018, the M4A4 continued to increase its use at the expense of the silenced M4, with 18.3% of kills across the year going to the M4A4, and the silenced M4 had less than 2% of kills over 2018. This is even with the suppressed M4 receiving a buff in June, giving the gun an extra magazine to allow for slightly more spamming. and given the suppressed M4 has no traces, smoke spamming is one of the weapon's key advantages over the regular M4, so you would think this update would have increased its usage slightly. But no, the M4A4 was still blowing the suppressed variant out of the water. In 2019, we had more of the same, with the M4A4 having slightly more usage, even with another buff for the silenced M4 in March, increasing the magazine size from 20 to 25. But in 2019, the silenced M4 was not just battling the M4A4, but also the AUG. 2019 was the year of the scoped automatic rifle, with the AUG and SG having a dramatic increase of usage. You should watch my video on the SG era, it's very nice video, yes. The silenced M4 again had less than 2% usage, and the M4A4 had 12.23%. In 2020, more of the same. The M4A4 had 17.49% of kills, and the silenced M4 still had less than 2%. This was now the third year in a row the silenced M4 was almost unused. This was due to the time to kill being significantly lower than the M4A4, and without a headshot, the M4A4 will always kill faster. With the price being reduced to $2,900 again on the 10th of April, it marked the third buff in a row that had minimal effect. At this point, finding a silenced M4 user on the server was like finding a needle in a haystack. Just no one was using this weapon unless you had a sick obsession with spamming smokes, as that was essentially the weapon's only benefit at this time. No traces are kinda goated. Finally, after starting 2021 the same exact way as the previous 4 years, the M4A1-S finally got an update that actually made it usable. On the 21st of September 2021, the silenced M4 had its damage increased. Damage to the head being unchanged at 92, but chest shots rose from 23 to 26, stomach shots rose from 28 to 33, and leg shots rose from 24 to 28. This change removed the infamous 92 in 4 experienced by the CT rifles, and now the silenced M4 has a guaranteed kill in 4 rounds, giving the suppressed M4 the edge in time to kill for the first time since its nerf back in 2015. In the last months of 2021, the silenced M4 instantly leapfrogged to the standard M4 in terms of use, jumping to 21.32% of kills, with the standard M4 only getting 2.45%. This buff of the silenced M4 led to another complete crash of the skin market, but this time it was the M4A4 that crashed. 2021 was the last ever time the M4A4 was used more than the suppressed M4 on the CT side. 2022 saw the biggest gap between the two CT rifles so far, with the newly buffed suppressed M4 taking 24.25% of kills, compared to the standard M4 taking less than 2%. No M4 had ever been this successful. There was even another 2 nerfs for the suppressed M4 that had little effect, dropping the mag size from 25 back to its original 20 within the update on the 15th of June, and slightly altering the weapon's range on the 18th of November. These are the last updates the suppressed M4 has received, and the state it was in at the end of 2022 is the same silenced M4 that we have today. In 2023, things got slightly less polarized for the remainder of CSGO's life, with the suppressed M4 still clapping the standard M4's cheeks, just slightly less violently than in 2022. The silenced M4 had 17.08% of all kills in CSGO in 2023, compared to the M4A4's 6.59%. But this was only the first part of 2023. On the 27th of September 2023, Counter-Strike 2 was released. And part of this release was a feature missing for the entire life of CSGO, the ability to equip both CT rifles. This enabled players to change their rifle of choice round by round. But the truth is, why would you do that? Once you have a gun you like, especially with the silenced M4 still having the damage advantage, there was very little reason to equip the M4A4, and many people don't. Even though having both rifles at the same time was a feature that was constantly requested throughout CSGO's life. The CS2 part of 2023 saw the suppressed M4 take 18.89%, and the M4A4 took 4.36%. Now, getting closer and closer to the modern day, we move to 2024, the first full year of Counter-Strike 2. More of the same here, with the silenced M4 continuing to dominate. This led to the M4A4 receiving its first change in 8 years, having its price dropped from $3,100 to $3,000. But this change had little effect on the suppressed M4. The suppressed M4 wrapped 2024 with 20.77% of the total year kills, and the M4A4 had only 3.01%. Somehow, even with a buff, we saw the silenced M4 continue to pull away in terms of usage. And with that, we're now in the now, 2025. In January, there was a further price drop for the M4A4, now in line with the suppressed rifle, sitting at $2,900. And at the time of scripting, 12th of March, the suppressed M4 is sitting at 17.68% of kills so far, and the M4A4 is sitting at 4.94%. I actually suspect this year will be one of the closest in terms of usage by the end of the year. It's always taken time after a buff or a nerf for people to take the plunge and get used to the other rifle again. And with the 2 price buffs for the M4A4, I think we'll see usage creep up over the year. And finally, that brings us to today. The battle between the M4A4 and the M4A1-S has been a rollercoaster of buffs, nerfs, price changes, constantly shifting the meta, and even shaking up the CS economy along the way. From the dominance of the A1S in the early years, to the M4A4's brief period of domination toward the end of the 2010s, now back to the silenced M4 reigning supreme, this rivalry has shaped how CT side is played for over a decade. Yeah. And if you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe. There's plenty more Counter-Strike content to come this year, so why not? Thanks boys, I'll catch you in the next one.